Welcome to Mindful Monday. If you are new here, we do start off the session with about 10 minutes of EFT tapping. Today we're tapping on health. Then we do a 10-minute activity. Today we'll be doing 10 minutes of creativity. So I'll be playing some music in the background and you can do whatever creative expression you like. And then after that, I'll be reading from The Power of Now for about 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started with tapping. If you're new to EFT tapping, this is an energy healing modality. You can tap on both sides at once. You can tap on one side and then swap over to the other side. Okay. Whatever works best for you, but we're going to start on the karate chop point here. And we're going to be tapping for health. So here we go. I am ready to be the healthiest I have ever been. So I choose to show love and compassion to myself. And I know that perfect health is my birthright. So I choose to completely love and accept myself. As well as anyone else connected to this. I am worthy and deserving of perfect health in every way. My health and well-being are my priority. And because of that, I am healthy and balanced in every way. Every cell of my being is working in my favor. Every cell in my body is in perfect order. Every cell in my body is functioning harmoniously. I love every cell of my body. Whatever I am feeling is valid. And I allow myself to process it all now. Because I know processing and releasing my emotions helps me stay healthy mentally and physically. I am always in perfect health. My body is powerful and knows how to heal itself. I feel naturally energized every day. I am deeply connected to my mind, body, and spirit. My mind, body, and spirit are always at peace. And my mind, body, and spirit are always thriving. Every day I make choices that benefit my overall health and well-being. I deserve to feel healthy and vibrant. My immune system is strong and keeps me safe. My body is healthy and strong. I always treat myself with love and kindness in every way. Every breath I take heals my body, mind, and soul. It feels good to take care of myself. I release all stress or tension in my body. I am healthier each and every day. I nourish my mind, body, and spirit daily. I deserve to live a long, healthy life in every way. I am thriving physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I now know and feel the truth of this all. Mind, body, and soul. Then go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And if you have water nearby, grab a drink of water. We're going to move on to our activity now. We're going to do 10 minutes of creative expression. So again, you can do this in any way that you feel to express yourself creatively. You can do this in writing, you can color, draw, freeform dance, you can sing if you want, anything else that really connects you with your creative energy, and that's going to look different for everybody. All right, We are going to round out Mindful Monday with our reading. For many women, the pain body awakens particularly at the time preceding the menstrual flow. I will talk about this and the reason for it in more detail later. Right now, let me just say this. If you are able to stay alert and present at that time and watch whatever you feel within, rather than be taken over by it, it affords an opportunity for the most powerful spiritual practice, and a rapid transmutation of all past pain becomes possible. Ego identification with the pain body. The process that I have just described is profoundly powerful yet simple. It could be taught to a child, and hopefully one day it will be one of the first things children learn in school. Once you have understood the basic principle of being present as the watcher of what happens inside you, and you understand it by experiencing it, you have at your disposal the most potent transformational tool. This is not to deny that you may encounter intense inner resistance to disidentifying from your pain. This will be the case particularly if you have lived closely identified with your emotional pain body for most of your life, and the whole or a large part of your sense of self is invested in it. What this means is that you have made an unhappy self out of your pain body and believe that this mind-made fiction is who you are. In that case, unconscious fear of losing your identity will create strong resistance to any disidentification. In other words, you would rather be in pain, be the pain body, than take a leap into the unknown and risk losing the familiar, unhappy self. If this applies to you, observe the resistance within yourself. Observe the attachment to your pain. Be very alert. Observe the peculiar pleasure you derive from being unhappy. Observe the compulsion to talk or think about it. The resistance will cease if you make it conscious. You can then take your attention into the pain body, stay present as the witness, and so initiate its transmutation. Only you can do this. Nobody can do it for you. But if you are fortunate enough to find someone who is intensely conscious, if you can be with them and join them in the state of presence, that can be helpful and will accelerate things. In this way, your own light will quickly grow stronger. When a log that has only just started to burn is placed next to one that is burning fiercely, and after a while they are separated again, the first log will be burning with much greater intensity. After all, it is the same fire. To be such a fire is one of the functions of a spiritual teacher. Some therapists may also be able to fulfill that function, provided that they have gone beyond the level of mind and can create and sustain a state of intense conscious presence while they are working with you. The origin of fear. You mentioned fear as being part of our basic underlying emotional pain. How does fear arise, and why is there so much of it in people's lives? And isn't a certain amount of fear just healthy self-protection? If I didn't have a fear of fire, I might put my hand in it and get burned. The reason why you don't put your hand in the fire is not because of fear. It's because you know that you'll get burned. You don't need fear to avoid unnecessary danger. Just a minimum of intelligence and common sense. For such practical matters, it is useful to apply the lessons learned in the past. Now, if someone threatened you with fire or with physical violence, you might experience something like fear. This is an instinctive shrinking back from danger, but not the psychological condition of fear that we are talking about here. The psychological condition of fear is divorced from any concrete and true immediate danger. It comes in many forms: unease, worry, anxiety, nervousness, tension, dread, phobia, and so on. This kind of psychological fear is always of something that might happen, not of something that is happening now. You are in the here and now, while your mind is in the future. This creates an anxiety gap. And if you are identified with your mind and have lost touch with the power and simplicity of the now, That anxiety gap will be your constant companion. You can always cope with the present moment, but you cannot cope with something that is only a mind projection. You cannot cope with the future. Moreover, as long as you are identified with your mind, the ego runs your life, as I pointed out earlier. Because of its phantom nature and despite elaborate defense mechanisms, the ego is very vulnerable and insecure, and it sees itself as constantly under threat. This, by the way, is the case even if the ego is outwardly very confident. Now remember that an emotion is the body's reaction to your mind. What message is the body receiving continuously from the ego? The false mind-made self. Danger, I am under threat. And what is the emotion generated by this continuous message? Fear, of course. Fear seems to have many causes: fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of being hurt, and so on. But ultimately, all fear is the ego's fear of death, of annihilation. To the ego, death is always just around the corner. In this mind-identified state, fear of death affects every aspect of your life. For example, even such a seemingly trivial and normal thing as the compulsive need to be right in an argument and make the other person wrong, defending the mental position with which you have identified, is due to the fear of death. If you identify with a mental position, then if you are wrong, your mind-based sense of self is seriously threatened with annihilation. So you as the ego cannot afford to be wrong. To be wrong is to die. Wars have been fought over this, and countless relationships have broken down. Once you have disidentified from your mind, whether you are right or wrong makes no difference to your sense of self at all. So the forcefully compulsive and deeply unconscious need to be right, which is a form of violence, will no longer be there. You can state clearly and firmly how you feel or what you think, but there will be no aggressiveness or defensiveness about it. Your sense of self is then derived from a deeper and truer place within yourself, not from the mind. Watch out for any kind of defensiveness within yourself. What are you defending? An illusory identity, an image in your mind, a fictitious entity. By making this pattern conscious, by witnessing it, you disidentify from it. In the light of your consciousness, the unconscious pattern will then quickly dissolve. This is the end of all arguments and power games which are so corrosive to relationships. Power over others is weakness disguised as strength. True power is within, and it is available to you now. So anyone who is identified with their mind and therefore disconnected from their true power, their deeper self rooted in being, will have fear as their constant companion. The number of people who have gone beyond mind is as yet extremely small, so you can assume that virtually everyone you meet or know lives in a state of fear. Only the intensity of it varies. It fluctuates between anxiety and dread at one end of the scale and a vague unease and distant sense of threat at the other. Most people become conscious of it only when it takes on one of its more acute forms. And we will stop there for today.